So, everybody in South Asia knows about the Koh-i-Noor diamond. It has been lurking in this region for centuries. But for the past century or so, it has been given a new home, which lies in the UK. The more interesting thing is that when the British actually took the Koh-i-Noor, they made it look like that it was willingly handed over or gifted to the Queen by the then tiny child prince of Punjab. He was barely like 10, 11 years old, Dalip Singh. But the real story is actually far more interesting. There was an entire secret operation to basically smuggle the Koh-i-Noor out of India. And the British knew that they had to keep it very quiet because otherwise there would be riots and there would be problems. People wouldn't want the Koh-i-Noor leaving India. And that's the story I'm going to tell you guys today. Hi, my name is Misha and welcome to Tarihi Tales. This video is also part of the Sikh series because it was actually at the end of the Sikh reign that the Koh-i-Noor was kind of taken and all of this happened. So this also lies in that parameter. We have more videos in the Sikh series and you can go and have a look at the link in the description box. Also, if you like this channel and you would like to help support and grow this channel, there are multiple ways you can support us. You can do so by becoming a paid member of our Patreon, or you can become a paid member of this YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description box and I'll also put a link up here. And if you're in Pakistan and you want to help contribute monetarily, you can contribute with the number given on the screen. And if you cannot help monetarily, that's okay. You can like, share, subscribe, comment. All of those things also really help our channel. Thank you. So until the year 1725, India was actually among one of the world's fewest sources of diamonds. Most of the diamonds in the world were kind of taken out of India. This was before they found diamond mines in Brazil. And India has a very, very huge history with diamonds and gems. And when you look at like historical accounts, mostly like you'd see in European courts, people's ranks and everything would be decided by or shown by the clothes or the medals they'd be wearing. But in India, you could see the rank of the people by the gems they would wear and the way they would wear it. The historians Dharimple and Anand actually tell us, in many ancient Indian courts, jewelry rather than clothing was the principal form of adornment and a visible sign of court hierarchy, with strict rules being laid down to establish which rank of courtier could wear which gem in which setting. The Koh-i-Noor also began its journey in India, and the earliest sources after it being mined, we can see that during the 1300s, the Koh-i-Noor was actually held by the Raja of Malwa. Now that Raja sold it in 1304 to Sultan Alauddin. And then the Sultan Alauddin gifted that stone to the Raja of Gwalior. And after that, it again crossed a few hands and eventually it landed in the hands of the Mughals. And the first time that we hear of the Koh-i-Noor in official Mughal sources is during the time of Shah Jahan. So in the 1600s, Shah Jahan basically commissioned a magnificent throne called the Peacock Throne. It's very famous and it was hugely expensive. It was made out of pure gold and it had a vast array of diamonds and different gems encrusted upon it. And one of the diamonds was the Koh-i-Noor. And this Peacock Throne was actually 4 times as expensive as the Taj Mahal. Isn't that crazy? But see, it only lasted in the Mughal court for about a century because in the 1700s, Nadir Shah attacked and after he retreated, he basically plundered a lot and he took the Peacock Throne along with him. And with that went the Koh-i-Noor. The diamond then stayed with the Afghan families for a while until Ranjit Singh actually got it back from Shah Shuja Durrani's wife. How Ranjit Singh got the diamond is also a very dramatic incident. I'll maybe talk about it some other time. By this point, Ranjit Singh had actually gotten a flair for gathering diamonds. He didn't only have the Koh-i-Noor, he also had the 186 carat pink diamond called the Darya-i-Noor and the 361 carat red spinal ruby called the Timur ruby. After Ranjit Singh passed away in 1839, the diamonds and all of these things basically passed a lot of hands because there were a lot of Sikh successors that came in his place until it reached the youngest of Ranjit Singh's son, Dalip Singh. He only had it for a short while and after that the Anglo-Sikh wars broke out, which is the wars with the British. Now once these wars were over, the British won, right? And then treaties were drafted to kind of signify exactly what the Sikhs had lost and what the British were gaining. What's interesting is that when the British drafted the first treaty, in that they never mentioned the diamond Koh-i-Noor. And there's a reason for that, because at this time, the person who was ruling the Sikh Empire, as I mentioned, was a tiny child prince who's Dalip Singh. But since he was so small, his mother, Maharani Jind Kaur, was actually the one who was ruling in his stead. And Maharani Jind Kaur was actually quite smart. The British kind of knew that to be able to manipulate the young Maharaja, they need to get him away from his mother. So first, they worked on that. They sent the Maharani away, they separated the son and the mother, and then only they talked about the Koh-i-Noor. An amendment was made to the Treaty of Lahore, and this clause was actually added. The gem called the Koh-i-Noor, which was taken from Maharaja Ranjit Singh, shall be surrendered by the Maharaja of Lahore to the Queen of England. All of this was basically being done by the planning of the future Lord Dalhousie. Dalhousie personally saw the Koh-i-Noor as a sign of triumph and great pride for the British people, and he wrote in his diary, "The Koh-i-Noor has ever been the symbol of conquest. The Emperor of Delhi had it in his peacock throne. While Shah Shuja ul Mulk was king, Ranjit Singh extorted the diamond by gross violence and cruelty. And now when, as the result of unprovoked war, the British government has conquered the kingdom of Punjab and has resolved to add it to the territories of the British Empire in India, I have a right to compel the Maharaja of Lahore, in token of his submission, to surrender the jewel to the Queen, that it may find its final and fitting resting place in the crown in Britain. For there is not one of those who have held it since its original possessor who can boast so just a title to its possession as the Queen of England can claim after 2 bloody and unprovoked wars." So that's what Lord Dalhousie thought, and it's safe to say this was purely his opinion. And note how he mentioned over and over again that the Anglo-Sikh wars were unprovoked. But there are actually papers and notes from the British Parliament during that time period where other Britishers argued and proved that these wars were almost entirely the fault of the British, and the British basically started them. I have an entire detailed video about how the dirty tactics that were used to kind of win this war were played out. But that's another video. You can find that in the Sikh series. So Lord Dalhousie actually arranged an entire diplomatic spectacle to kind of show that the Koh-i-Noor is officially being given over to the British. And on this event, basically a darbar was kind of called, a meeting of all the courtiers and everybody, and the young Maharaja Dalip Singh was brought in, and at that time the Koh-i-Noor was actually worn as an armlet. And Dalip Singh was only 11 years old here, so he was actually made to present the Koh-i-Noor diamond to Lord Dalhousie as he would present it to the British Crown. But this was the official spectacle that took place. But there's an entire story as to how the diamond then got to England. And that's where all the juicy stuff is. The operation to smuggle the Koh-i-Noor was so secretive that even among the British, only a handful of people knew about it. And we today only know about it because Dr. John Logan, who was kind of the caretaker for the young Maharaja later on by the British, he actually wrote a letter back home. And this letter was written months after the operation had taken place. And even then, he was very careful not to mention the diamond's name in the letter. He talks about how once the British had won the wars, Dr. John Logan kind of took over the Tosha Khana. He ransacked it. He looked at everything that was in the Sikh treasury at that time. And he basically held on to the Koh-i-Noor until Lord Dalhousie came to him with a leather pouch. And then Dr. John Logan basically transferred the Koh-i-Noor into the pouch, and he also gave an official receipt to Lord Dalhousie which stated that at this point, Dr. John Logan has handed over the diamond to Lord Dalhousie. So in his letters that Dr. John Logan wrote, he actually talks about how at the moment when he handed the Koh-i-Noor over, he felt such a relief, like a burden has been lifted off of him, because he was very, very concerned about what would happen. And then we also have letters and writings from Lord Dalhousie himself, where he talks about the rest of the operation as well. So the Koh-i-Noor basically leaves India on board the ship HMS Maida on April 6, 1850. And it was Lord Dalhousie himself that delivered the diamond, and he goes into great detail about how he took care of the diamond on board the ship. So it wasn't like he was just carrying it around in a leather pouch, somewhere. Lord Dalhousie actually had the diamond double sewn into a belt which he wore around his waist. That belt then also had a strap that went all the way up to his neck. So it was around his neck and around his waist, and the diamond was sewn into the belt. And he talks about this in his letters, and he says that the diamond was on him day and night. He slept with it, he did everything with the diamond belt on. There was only one incident where he had to leave the diamond, and that was before they arrived on the ship. They made a stop in Dera Ghazi Khan, and he had to basically go out and do something there. So during that visit, he basically put this entire thing into a chest, and he made Captain Ramsey sit on top of the chest until he came back. It wasn't like he wasn't even taking any chances at that point. And after that, after this pit stop, it was Lord Dalhousie that kept the diamond on himself. And nobody among the British even knew about this smuggling operation until 3 months later, when the diamond actually arrived in Britain, and then it became part of the royal crown jewels. And it was only then that it became public knowledge that, okay, Koh-i-Noor has been transferred out of India, because it was such a huge symbol of conquest that the British were very, very afraid if this word got out that the Koh-i-Noor is being transferred, then there might be political unrest. And what's interesting is that with the Koh-i-Noor going to Britain, there's obviously a lot of political power play going on. It wasn't just a symbol of conquest over India. The British weren't just saying that we're so powerful, look, now we have the Koh-i-Noor, something which has almost always been in that region. But it was also like a showing off to other European nations, because by this point, the British crown actually did not have a significantly big diamond, and other nations in Europe had huge diamonds. Like the French monarchy had the 140-carat Pitt diamond. The Russian monarchy, where Catherine the Great basically had a 190-carat diamond, which was placed into a spectre. So with all of these big diamonds which were popping up in European nations and their monarchies, the British kind of felt like, well, they're kind of falling behind because they have this huge empire, but they don't have significant amount of big diamonds to show for it. So now they had it. They had the Koh-i-Noor. And the funny thing is, what a typical British thing, just like with the spices, once they had the Koh-i-Noor diamond, they didn't even like it. And I'm not just saying this, there's so much evidence backing that, and I will tell you all about this in my next video. I will see you guys next time. If you like this video, make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, become a member to this channel, ring the notification bell. See you guys next time. Bye.